Have you ever laughed, not despite the pain of another, but because of it? Perhaps not loudly, not openly, but in that secret corner of your being where shadows smirk and masks dissolve. What if I told you that this laughter, this strange thrill of the downfall of the other, is not a flaw, but a glimpse of your most authentic self? Behind every polite smile, behind every curtain of virtue and compassion, lies a trembling joy that no one dares confess. It is a laughter of the abyss, and once heard, it never truly fades. Why do we recoil when we catch ourselves enjoying another's suffering? And yet, why does that moment taste so intoxicating? Do not trust the voices that tell you compassion is the highest good. They speak as if virtue were pure, as if empathy were natural, as if the heart does not secretly dance when the mighty fall or the arrogant weep. But in truth, every civilization has feasted upon spectacles of cruelty, from Roman arenas to reality television. We are not merely witnesses to suffering, we are connoisseurs of it. What if your morality is not a crown, but a leash? And what if the hand holding that leash is your own? You laugh at the misfortunes of others not because you're broken, but because you are waking up. There's a delight that rides beneath decency, a joy with fangs and fingernails, one that scratches a polished surface of your kindness until it bleeds something far more honest. Can you feel it? That tickle in the spine when justice feels like vengeance dressed in legal robes? That thrill when the arrogant fall from their perch, when the mask slips, when power trembles? This is no accident. This is not weakness. This is the echo of something ancient, older than gods, deeper than guilt. Why do we fear that echo? Why do we bury it under sermons and slogans? Imagine, just for a moment, that your laughter in the face of suffering is not a deviation, but a revelation. That buried within that joy is a truth about power, about hierarchy, about the animal that still growls in the dungeon of your soul. Who told you that joy must be innocent? Who sold you the lie that pleasure must be pure? There is a sacred obscenity in the way we grin when chaos touches the untouchable. And in that grin lives something Nietzsche called the will to power, raw, unmasked, incandescent. Are you still certain you are only laughing, or is something else laughing through you? So now I ask you, who are you when no one watches? Who are you in the half second before you silence that grin, in the half thought you dare not finish? This is not a question that seeks an answer. It is a wound that demands attention. Stay, watch, because somewhere within this exploration, between laughter and cruelty, between instinct and denial, you may find the face of your true self staring back, not with shame, but with amusement, the kind of amusement that only the awakened ever truly understand. And so we begin not with answers, but with a descent. Imagine a theater without actors, where the roles are played by your impulses, and the curtain rises only to reveal a mirror. You do not watch. You are being watched by something you cannot name. The laughter we speak of, that sudden, forbidden joy that flares when someone else stumbles, is not merely yours. It belongs to something older inside you, something coiled and patient, that has waited through centuries of civility for one crack in the mask. And when it comes, when misfortune visits your neighbor, when power falters or beauty decays, there it is, that grin, silent, immediate, honest, and you wonder, what kind of creature am I to take pleasure in pain? But deeper still, another voice asks, what kind of illusion taught me that I shouldn't? You see, morality is a costume party for instincts that no longer dance. We clothe ourselves in compassion because we fear the nakedness of our true nature. Yet no amount of fabric can fully obscure the fact that we are descendants of predators, that we evolved not only to survive, but to dominate, to compare, to delight in the hierarchy of triumph and fall. What is envy if not a disguised form of admiration poisoned by helplessness? And what is schadenfreude if not the revenge of the weak masked as laughter? There is no neutrality here. Even the meek rejoice when the mighty fall. Even the virtuous whisper to themselves, finally, when injustice is served not through justice, but through downfall. The very foundation of justice itself may tremble under the weight of this impulse, to see the balance restored not with grace, but with collapse. And perhaps that is why you feel it, that flicker of delight in someone else's suffering, not because you are cruel, but because you are unbearably human. Let us not pretend that we are strangers to this pleasure. Remember the schoolyard, the moment a bully trips and falls, and a laugh escapes your lips before you even understand why. Or the news of celebrity caught in scandal, the self-righteous thrill that surges like fire in your chest, as if you were somehow made cleaner by their disgrace. You weren't, but you felt it, didn't you? A surge, a rush, a tightening of something invisible around your spine. That moment was not about them. It was about you, about how fragile your own virtue felt until someone else lost theirs, about how you needed to believe, even if for a second, that you are on the right side, not because you're good, but because they were worse. And so you laughed, not at them, but at the terror that had, for a moment, loosened its grip on you. But this laughter, though intoxicating, is never innocent. It costs you something, a fragment of silence, a shadow in the heart. Each time it appears, it leaves behind a question that will not let you sleep. Why do I feel more alive when someone else fails? Why is their collapse more vivid than my own victories? The truth that Nietzsche whispers through the cracks of our constructed ethics is that the will to power does not concern itself with decorum. It moves like wind through the corridors of the soul, indifferent to the structures we build around it. And in that wind, the laughter of the abyss rides freely. You do not command it. It commands you. It surges when weakness is exposed, not because you wish harm, but because you crave authenticity. And there is nothing more authentic than suffering stripped of its mask, a raw, trembling truth that dares you to look, to witness, to feel, not as a moral creature, but as a creature, simply. So here we are, torn between what we are and what we pretend to be, between the warmth of collective empathy and the electric thrill of individual dominance. You are not alone in this duality. Everyone carries it, the saint and the sinner, the mother and the murderer, the poet and the soldier, all have laughed at something they should have mourned. And in that laughter lies not evil, but fracture, a brief, shimmering crack in the dam of oppression. What pours through it is not darkness. It is clarity, a glimpse of the real, of the underworld we carry in our lungs and try so desperately not to exhale. But now it breathes, now it lives, now it laughs. And as it does, it calls to you not to feel guilt, but to feel awareness, to taste the blood in the wine, to remember that joy, even the perverse kind, is still joy, and every joy has something to teach, especially the ones we do not dare to name. And perhaps now, as the laughter fades into something quieter, something heavier, you begin to hear what was always there, beneath every grin, every shiver, every silent moment of cruel delight. It was never just about the other's pain. It was a mirror held too close, revealing not a monster, but a part of you that still breathes wild and unchained beneath layers of gentleness and guilt. You didn't come here for answers, but for recognition. And what you found was a tremor, the quiet thrill of seeing the mask slip and realize it was your own. There is no shame in this recognition, only depth, because now you know that even your darkest joys carry meaning, that beneath every civilized smile lies an ancient song, composed of survival, instinct, and the intoxicating pulse of power reclaimed. This isn't a flaw in your humanity. It is your humanity, raw, unfiltered, radiant in its paradox. The joy you fear was never perverse. It was pure. It was honest. And honesty, even in darkness, liberates more than the most beautiful of lies. So the next time it rises, that laughter you try to swallow, pause. Do not run. Do not label it as wrong before you understand what it reveals. Ask instead, what in me is rejoicing and why? Let it guide you, not toward cruelty, but toward wholeness. Because to deny the shadow is to remain fractured. But to look into it and not look away is to begin the slow, beautiful work of becoming real, of integrating the fragmented, of no longer fearing the echo inside the laugh. You were not meant to be clean. You were meant to be complete. And completion comes not through denial, but through courage, the kind that steps into the space between good and evil and listens. In that silence, something ancient awakens, not a monster, not a saint, but you in your entirety. And it whispers not what to think, but how to see, how to carry this truth not as a burden, but as a torch. That is the gift hidden in the joy you once called perverse, a gateway not a cruelty, but a clarity. So if this stirred something in you, if a veil was lifted, if a part of you was named for the first time, do not let it vanish. Leave your mark. Share what burned. Speak the unspeakable in the comments. Let your voice join the echo. Subscribe not to a channel, but to a path that begins with one forbidden laugh and leads toward a truth no longer hidden.